Good morning, everyone, from me and Maxie. Starting today off talking about Refeeds, which is a tool that we use when we're dieting and cutting. Now, a refeed is similar to, but also very different from a quote-unquote cheat day that a lot of people might implement once or twice a week. It's very important to note that there are different types and levels of intensity of cheat days and refeed days. Cheat days are generally seen as like quote unquote reward days for, sticking to a caloric deficit the other 6 days of the week or something like that. Now, the word cheat day does not define the word cheat day or term cheat day. All it does is say the words cheat day. A cheat day could be practically anything. A cheat day could be a day in which a person eats one meal at a restaurant. A cheat day could be a day where they eat multiple meals at restaurants. For other people, I don't know why, but a cheat day might mean taking their meal plan, which their foods are based on macros, and substituting those foods for other foods. For some people, a cheat day is an all-out binge day, no holds bar, do and eat whatever the hell I want. It's important to still apply the laws of science and thermodynamics. The amount you overeat may be equivalent, like the level that you overeat in terms of calories over where you were supposed to probably eat that day, will set you back on your fat loss journey. Now, at the same time, those cheat days or that cheat day could serve as kind of a mental break, a relief of sorts. And inversely, treating yourself in that way for some people creates a bad relationship with food in a way. And for some people, it tells them, okay, as long as I'm eating my really quote-unquote clean foods, say these days of the week, I could be a bad girl and eat these bad foods. And it could turn certain foods into like really vilified, evil foods in their mind, in which, you eat one piece, you gotta eat 1,000. And a whole lot of other scenarios, but I think you get what I'm saying here. It could kind of make you judge foods in ways that foods aren't meant to be judged. Now, the word refeed, on the other hand, is a bit more defined, but still quite loose. It literally only has to do with your macros. So, whereas cheat day could practically mean anything, really anything, to different people, refeed really has... A refeed day is usually quite deliberate, and it's utilized generally in a flexible approach diet. But it could also be utilized in a macro-based, stricter diet, perhaps where you're eating certain foods and or never eating out. Whereas cheat day doesn't generally define like how many nutrients you're getting in. I guess it's almost just like, okay, YOLO, a refeed day. In the majority of cases, your coach or the guide you're reading, etc., generally does refeeds in a sort of certain way. So refeeds are utilized, once again, during cuts, during caloric deficits. So let's say your maintenance calories has been around 3,000 and you're cutting at around 2,500. So you decide, okay, I'm going to have 2,500 calories a day. Maybe you throw in 1 or 2 cardio sessions to begin this cut. Now, perhaps once a week, your coach or you throws in a day where you're hitting calories that were your maintenance calories at the beginning of your cut. So generally, even throughout a cut, you're keeping them. So say you're cutting at 65 grams of fat, X amount of protein, and let's just say 300 carbs at 2,500 calories, around there. A refeed day would be where you have about 65 grams of fat, and then maybe around 425 carbs, X amount of protein. So you do the math, 125 more carbs is about 500 calories, right about back to that maintenance of 3,000, which you started your cut at. If you want, but you don't have to, you could even lower the fats a little bit, say even down to 60, 55, or 50, just so you can get even more carbs if you wanted. A lot of coaches these days don't seem to start their clients' diets by lowering their proteins and fats on refeed days, but generally, towards the end of that diet, maybe. Now, over time, your low days get lower. Say that 65 fat day ends up becoming 60, gets lower over time. Your coach or you may also take your fats on the refeed and take it from 65 to 60. Therefore, calorically, it's lower as well. So in other words, throughout a diet, the caloric value of a refeed day sometimes, quite often, just goes down as well as the low days. Now, in other cases, some people or their coaches may design their refeeds at already lower fat and keeping the calories always. But let's just say you've been slowly lowering your low day fats from 65 and now they're down to 50, and you've also been doing the same for your refeeds from 60 down to 50. There may be a time where you may even want or need to slightly lower the carbs on your refeed day if it comes down to it. There's a lot of strategies and methods that people or coaches will utilize with themselves or others of trying to even get the carbs on the refeeds really high. Ideally, best case scenario, you'd want your refeed as high calories as possible, as high carbs as possible, yet at the same time not to negatively affect. Anyway, you guys see that there's quite a bit of wiggle room and design and option, right? So yeah, generally refeeds, most coaches put their clients on once a week. Sometimes it's once every 2 weeks or even every 3 weeks. It just depends. Usually, coaches will put clients that are extremely overweight on very infrequent refeeds versus clients that are extremely lean. And infrequent could also mean no refeeds, period. Let's just say you were extremely overweight, obese. It'd be like to say, hey, no refeeds, period, ever. But then that obese person or his coach may utilize the strategy of implementing refeeds when the diet starts feeling more difficult, psychologically and whatnot. Some people, generally extremely lean bodybuilders, will utilize their refeed even up to once every 6 days or once every 5 days. It's simply a way to play with the overall daily to weekly caloric deficit, a way to kind of blunt it in a way to, it's a version of carb cycling. It's more a psychological tool, an adherence tool, than actually. So it's like, granted, scenario 1, scenario 2 have the same amount of average calories per week, but this one has 6 low days on a refeed, this one has 7 regular low days. You're pretty much getting the same thing. And what a refeed can do is, once again, whoa, today's my refeed, hell yeah, I can't wait for my refeed. You see what that just did? After 1 or 2 weeks of caloric deficit days, you have this day where you're eating maintenance or even slightly higher in some cases, and you're just like, wow, yeah. And quite often, just from having higher calories that day, higher carbs that day, just being happier, less stress, quite often is the day after or 2 days after or maybe 3 days after. Generally, it's around the 2 days after mark, you will see a new low weigh-in on the scale. And even though we generally diet based on body weight trends, since we weigh ourselves every day, we're able to look at the average weigh-in per week. Even though we do that, a new low weigh-in on the scale for many people can be very psychologically rewarding and feel very good and make you feel on track. Generally, it's from built up water retention throughout the higher stress, higher cortisol days, and just flushing. Quite often, actual fat loss is masked by water weight, by water retention, and these refeeds create quite often this whoosh effect. Now the thing is this, it's not necessary that you're losing more fat at all. In fact, you're blunting that caloric deficit just a little bit from that refeed. But do you see how it could be a tool for adherence, a psychological tool, a reward tool without going complete YOLO like a cheat day? And also it could be utilized on days where your hardest workouts are, or perhaps your squat or deadlift day where you want to retain the most amount of strength and muscle. And over time you can know, oh, I look the best on or after or 2 days after a refeed. And you can plan refeeds based around, I'd say, a photo shoot or a trip to the beach. Over time you gather data about yourself. You gather data about when you hit a new low weigh and after a refeed. You get data about when you look your best in conjunction with a refeed. For those looking for the numbers, once again, refeeds could be as simple as filling in the gap between the deficit and maintenance. It could be filling that gap between deficit and maintenance, and slightly, perhaps even higher than maintenance, with carbs. And that's it. That's pretty much it. There are no set rules. Lyle McDonald or Eric Helms, they didn't say, hey, it has to be done this way at all. Okay? So you decide. Now, I recommend trying to get tons of those carbs right surrounding the workout. So we're talking 25 to 35, maybe even 40. So 25 to 40%. And it's fine too if you end up putting a refeed on an off day. It's totally cool. What I recommend generally is getting the carbs inside of an 8-hour window. And also try to get most of the carbs from foods that you feel like literally fill your muscles out. So not necessarily fibrous carbs. So we're talking carbs that digest really well for you particularly. It's gonna be different for everyone. But for me, rice, rice cakes, sushi, kind of has something to do with your lineage. Seeing that, half Filipino, entire that side of the family digests rice extremely well. I probably do. But yeah, don't try to get the majority of those added carbs from like beans necessarily, or like vegetables necessarily. Unless of course let's just say like mashed carrots, like just fills you up, your muscles digest well, then maybe, okay. I think you get the picture, right? We're gonna be eating lots of foods that are filling you up, that you digest really well, that aren't necessarily high fiber. We're gonna get interesting here, and I'm gonna actually suggest being very eyeful of how you look during this specific day, especially if you're lean. So keep an eye out on what specific foods, what specific amounts, especially in terms of like the carbs, and how you look in the mirror, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. So what this does is over time you could gather data, and you could do this on regular days too, of course, but refeed days can really help. You're gonna gather data about how you look. This helps you know, what foods and amounts do what to your body in terms of the look. So for photo shoots, for pictures, and this will also help you gather data for stepping on stage as a competitor. You'll have a better idea of what foods are the right ones, what amounts, and so common misconception is that a refeed day or a refeed meal or whatever ends up burning more fat, and that's completely false. If anything, physiologically, you're most likely burning less fat. But what it could do is it could whoosh your weight for a weigh-in the next day. So that's why people would be like, yeah, refeeds help me lose more fat. It's like, not necessarily. They just help unmask the fat loss, and you'll know you're losing. Now, the way they do help you lose more fat is in terms of adherence, which is the key word in fitness, adherence. It means adhering to. It means sticking to something. I'm gonna do a shameless plug here and say that if you guys want to learn more about refeeds, I highly recommend Eric Helm's Strength and Nutrition Pyramids. Now, I honestly just kind of briefly covered refeeds right here, but it would be covered like this and in way more depth in the ebook that and yeah, refeeds for women are generally much less exciting than refeeds for men, but that's usually because men have higher metabolic rates. So yeah. Once again, if you want a much better description and knowledge and understanding of refeeds, screenshot this and go to the link that's on the screen right there. So some people have said that I've given away too much information and that the snaps are too long. So leave me some feedback and let me know what you guys think. If you do use an app like MyFitnessPal to track your macros, should you track green vegetables? The answer is yeah. Why not? Just track them, throw them in MyFitnessPal. Thank you guys so much for all the feedback. It's good to hear from you guys. I think a lot of the beginners like the really long, several snap, conversations, and it seems like the guys who've been training for a little bit longer like more conversations, different topics, less snaps per conversation. So thank you. How do you find out what foods fill out your muscles the best? Man, that's totally like you. But it definitely helps to be lean in the first place. That way you can actually kind of see, If you guys are cutting and not for like a specific date or show or competition, and a certain level of calories still has you losing weight, just ride it out until it just starts diminishing. And then somebody asked me, Matt, how'd you go from a 2 days on, 1 day off program to your current 6 day per week LPP program? Isn't it too much volume? You're doing program design for yourself or someone else. You are aware of the current volume that you were at, and you are aware of the current volume that you're going to be putting yourself at. And there are other variables too that you're adjusting, such as intensity. So that's one variable that got really adjusted, going from my lower upper off repeat program to this current program. So long story short, no, what I'm currently doing is not too much volume, because if it was too much volume, I'd feel bad. I'd feel like crap. I would be overtrained. I am 5'6" and 3/4. People are gonna hate and say I'm 5'5". People are gonna hate and say I'm 5'3". Should you weigh chicken before you cook it or after you cook it? Look at it like this. If you weigh it before you cook it, that's freaking messy. You weigh it after you cook it, it's less messy. Pick either. So how quickly should you pull out carbs/calories when you're starting a cut? Well, you haven't started a cut until you started pulling out calories, guys. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much. My snaps now seem to reach to about 14,000 people, and just a day or two ago it was at 10,000. And how many carbs or calories should you pull? Guys, watch my video Nutrition 101 Calories on YouTube. It's a long video, check it out. Pro tip, before you leave to the gym, did you break up your 4 rice cakes of different flavors so that you can eat them on the way home from the gym? Did you? I'm telling you, driving is not the same. Rice cakes taste so much better when you're either watching a movie or driving. They're so good. Someone asked me, Matt, what's your opinion on what is the top method for losing fat? Is it fits your macros? Is it intermittent fasting? Guys, caloric deficit. How I implement that caloric deficit is generally I'm usually eating the same foods every day to keep me at the deficit, but I allow myself to eat whatever I want when I want. So when my brother Adam invites me to Morton's Steakhouse, I say, fuck it, let's do it. When I feel like going to sushi every Saturday night, I do it. So basically, yeah, I have a default of eating relatively the same foods each day, perhaps the amounts vary, and I allow myself to be okay when I'm invited out to dinner. Someone just asked me, how many scoops of creatine should I take? Because they're looking at their supplement, jar or whatever. It's like, bruh, 5 grams. Last time I had this on, it was like a little hard to move in it, but now I can actually move. That dieting feel though. I just want to let you guys know that picture comment posting on my Facebook fan page is now allowed. So I'm expecting tons of memes of me. So Matt, what's the difference between doing X amount of sets of 315-pound squats for 10 versus several sets of 225-pound squats for sets of 10? Assuming that the volumes are equal. Well, there's a really good chance that the 225 for tons of sets of 10 is way below 50%. A safe place to bet on putting your load at is around 60% or higher of 1 rep max. And those sets of 225, those are definitely way below that. Just so everybody knows, Chris Lovato, the Yuckster, has got a new website, CoachYuck.com. Check it out if you're looking for coaching. And if you hit him up, definitely tell him I sent you, just so that he could, feel that Ogus love. I just got this message. This guy was saying, Matt, these strength and nutrition pyramids are the best things that I've ever read in my entire life. Today I've been filming a full day of eating video, and I should be uploaded tonight or scheduled for tomorrow morning, so stay tuned. So a young lady asked me, for cutting, should I rest less between sets? The simple answer is it depends and probably no. You want to rest appropriately for maximum gym performance. Resting less than necessary is only going to hurt your workout. I'm going through and thanking everyone who Snapchats me a picture of their confirmation download page for the pyramid ebooks. So keep it coming. So some people are asking me, Matt, if I only eat like these certain foods like boiled eggs and lettuce and spinach, will I lose weight? Guys, you have to be in a caloric deficit. So can you still gain strength while cutting? Generally the answer is yes. For you particularly, the answer is it depends. Legit had the funniest moment of my entire life. This guy kept a straight face the entire time. He came up to me and he's like, you look exactly like this guy named Matt Ogus. I actually managed to keep a straight face the entire time, and I was like, nah, who is he? And he described me to myself. It was hella funny. I just kept a straight face. And then on his way up from the gym, I was like, hey man, actually that was me, or you were explaining me to me. He's like, what? No way! I was like, that was crazy. Bruh, I just got snapped from a guy in like a hospital bed. Shit. I hope you get better soon. To everyone out there who's suffering or going through some shit, man. Here's my Chipotle dinner, meal number 3. I'm doing a full day of cutting eating right over there, as you guys can see. The bowl, the salad, the Diet A&W root beer. I'm feeling pretty good today because I was at the gym today, and I recommended Eric Helm's nutrition and strength pyramids to like multiple people. And it's just like a really good feeling. Like I was being asked, some basic questions about workout splits and how do I get my shoulders to grow and training volume and should I switch things up and all these different. And I spent quite a bit of time. I was actually at the gym for like 5 or 6 hours because I swore I think I taught macros to like 3 people. But I ended up recommending. Basically, I ended each conversation with like, "Hey, are you serious about training nutrition?" Yes. Well, then you're gonna buy this book. Otherwise, don't ask me any more questions. And it almost sounds rude, but it's legitimately true. Like, if you actually are serious, you don't want to waste 5 years not knowing the truth like I did and so many others did. You're going to buy it. And in fact, you don't respect yourself nor your time if you're not willing to fast track your way to results. It's simple. You don't respect. Sorry, I'm just really passionate about these ebooks because I know you can find all this information out online, but for the average person, it would take years to gather all of this information. And it's all right there. Yeah, don't be afraid to approach me in real life with questions. Like, I probably give out way too much of my time for free. It's probably a fault of my character, but just, hit me. Really all I ask for return is if I'm ever in a gang war or, I need you to throw down, you'd have my back. Which is actually legit. I know for a fact there's people out there who would murder someone for me. Respect! The question is, am I going to keep Snapchatting or am I actually going to eat my dinner, which is only meal 3 of 4 meals today, and it's already like 11 p.m. And sorry for all the snaps, guys, but the growth on Snapchat is so wild right now. Legit, I could easily become the fitness DJ Khaled real soon if things keep going the way they're going. Shreds update. So funny thing just happened. I wrote this company a really dissatisfied email because I paid for express 1-day shipping and it's still not here. I ordered it on Friday. And well, I forgot post offices pretty much closed today since it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's a national holiday. So I wrote them an email apologizing. Sure. I mean, you'd be concerned too, right? Paying $45 for 1-day express shipping when they offered free shipping and priority shipping 1 to 3 days was like $10.